by Anna Barbauld. The poem, The Right of Women, is composed by English poet, essayist, literary critic and editor Anna Lætitia Barbauld, 1743–1825. Barbauld's writings have been read fundamentally by feminist literary critic, interested in recovering women writers important in their own time, but forgotten in literary history. The Rights of Women, by Anna Lætitia Barbauld. Yes, injured woman, rise, assert thy right. Woman, too long degraded, scorned, oppressed. O born to rule in partial laws despite. Resume thy native empire o'er the breast. Go forth arrayed in panoply divine. That angel pureness which admits no stain. Go, bid proud man his boasted rule resign. And kiss the golden scepter of thy reign. Go, gird thyself with grace, collect thy store of bright artillery glancing from afar. Soft melting tones thy thundering cannons roar. Blushes and fears thy magazine of war. Thy rights are empire, urge no meaner claim. Felt, not defined, and if debated, lost. Like sacred mysteries, which withheld from fame. Shunning discussion. Or revered the most. Try all that wit and art suggest to bend. Of thy imperial foe the stubborn knee. Make treacherous man thy subject, not thy friend. Thou mayest command, but never canst be free. Awe the licentious, and restrain the rude. Soften the Sioux. Yen, clear the cloudy brow. Be, more than prince's gifts, thy favors sued. She hazards all, who will the least allow. But hope not, courted idol of mankind. On this proud eminence secure to stay. Subduing and subdued, thou soon shalt find. Thy coldness soften, and thy pride give way. Then, abandon each ambitious thought. Conquest or rule thy heart shall feebly move. In nature's school, by her soft maxims taught. That separate rights are lost in mutual love. The Rights of Women, by Anna Lætitia Barbauld, is a poem belonging to the period of proto-feminism. It was the age when women writers like Mary Godwin, Mary Shelley, and Anna Barbauld were expressing their long-suppressed fire of womanhood. Their writings revolted against the custom that held back the women of England as well as of the whole of Europe. It is needless to say the beginning of the 19th century observed prominent historical changes in Europe. It was the French Revolution of 1789 that gave a new spirit to suppressed men and subdued women. This poem by Barbauld also reflects the humanitarian spark of the age. Besides, he poem begins with the speaker commanding all women of the world, especially those that have been stepped on and oppressed, to rise up and assert their rights. They should attempt to retake their place as leaders of the empire. She tells them that it is time for man to step down from his throne and kiss the scepter of woman. The weapons that will be used in a woman's bid for the thrones of the world will be fought using the things that society has given her. She will use her blushes and soft melting tones to defeat mankind. Once having gained some power, a woman should not stop until she is in calm. And of all of the empire, not just part. She will not be able to make friends with mankind, they must be subservient to the needs of women. In the final stanzas, the speaker warns the women of the world that if they do regain power, they must not let themselves get weak. While nature might try to sway them into some kind of reconciliation with man, they must not let their coldness decrease. The maintaining of power must be at the forefront of their minds at all times. The Rights of Women, by Anna Lætitia Barbauld, is an 8-stanza poem that rhymes in a consistent pattern of a bob, CD, etc. This simple rhyme scheme gives the poem the feeling of a speech read aloud, with awe-inspiring passion. Additionally, the simple formatting leaves plenty of room for the reader to focus on the message. Each stanza of the poem contains 4 lines and the lines are evenly distributed till the end. After reading the poem closely, it becomes clear that the poem follows a firm rhythm. It imitates the sound of military footsteps. The verbal energy of the poem is consonant with the theme and overall idea of the poem. Even the metrical pattern of the poem asserts the rights of women through sound and rhythm. Each line of the poem contains 10 syllables. While reading the lines, the stress falls on the second syllable of each foot. Thus, the whole poem is composed of iambic pentameter. As mentioned earlier, the rising rhythm helps the poet to forcefully proclaim women's rights. The Rights of Women, by Anna Lætitia Barbauld, presents several important themes. The major theme of the poem is feminism. In the poem, Barbauld talks about the rights of women. She specifically focuses on the reasons behind their state of thraldom, slavery. The feministic ideals of the poet reflect from the beginning of the poem. In the first line of the poem, she urges women, yes, injured woman, rise, assert thy right. However, her poem formed the basis of feminism at the beginning of the 19th century in England. There are several other themes in the poem too. Likewise, the poet presents the theme of equality. She is of the view that women of her age were need their equal rights as they failed to assert their opinion firmly. They accepted or were forced to accept the patriarchal pattern of society. That's why they remained in the subservience of their lords, specifically their husbands. Another important theme in the poem is love. Barbauld talks about love from a feminist's perspective. According to the poem, a woman becomes trapped by her emotions. When she loves someone, day by day her coldness soften, and her pride give away. At last, she says, that separate rights are lost in mutual love. The Rights of Women by Anna Lætitia Barbauld is a work reflecting the ideals of early feminism. Anna Lætitia Barbauld is one of the famous feminist writers from the period of proto-feminism. Feminism refers to the writings before the 20th century that formed the basis of the movement of feminism. Barbauld belongs to the early group of writers who voiced their opinion of women's equal rights and equal dignity in society along with men. Her writings also reflect the spirit of the age, equality, fraternity, and brotherhood. In the poem, the poet presents several important points regarding the ideals of feminism. First of all, she visualizes a woman as a warrior on the battlefield of life. She thinks that women are the true rulers of society. They are deprived of their rights to rule and direct people in the right order. The undertone of war voices a manifesto of another revolution like the French Revolution of 1789. This is a revolution of women to assert their rights and regain their power from the wrong hands. Barbauld, by using her fiery voice in the poem, tried to disillusion women about their apparent mental calm and satisfaction. She says even the concept of mutual love is against their equal rights. That's why she gives her feminist voice a tone of a new revolution and says to women, awe the licentious, and restrain the rude, soften the sullen, clear the cloudy brow, to proclaim their birthright. 1. Street. Stanza. The speaker of the rights of women, perhaps Barbauld herself, begins by stating a line that serves as the overarching message of this piece. She is commanding all women of the world, no matter where they are, to rise and assert their rights. She specifically mentions the woman and that she considers injured. This is a very vague term that can apply to any number of afflictions and maladies. It is safe to assume that she is referring to most, if not all women. Especially at the time in which this was written. Any woman who has been taken for less than she is, used in ways she didn't want to be, or horribly abused in a manner only human beings could conceive of. Those to whom she is speaking are better defined in the second line as she calls on the too long degraded, the scorned, and the oppressed to take back the rule that the law has taken from them. She believes that women must rise and resume their rightful place. 2. Nd. Stanza. These women, now roused to the call of the speaker, are told to go forth. They are to spread themselves around the world in any way they see fit. They will be divinely diverse and beautiful in all iterations. The speaker tells these women to speak to man, to tell him that his rule is now over. He must resign from his boasted position. His pride is a deep fault and must be remedied. It is now time for him to kiss the scepter of your reign. 3. Road. Stanza. The women, protagonists of this story, need to cover themselves and deck themselves with grace. They have built up an arsenal that is unlike that controlled by man. Through their upbringing and the conventional social standards to which they have been made to conform, they now have women's weapons. They will use their bright glances as their artillery, and they will employ their soft melting tones, as one might a cannon. The beauty of their complexions, their blushes, will serve as their magazines of war. Although women do not have access and have never had access to the same weapons as men, they still have the ability to rise up and take control. Here I.N. The rights of women. The narrator continues on to state that their rights are to the entire empire. They should not stop vying for power until they have the whole world. Do not stop, she says, with any meaner claim. The power they have does not need to be defined, it is felt, making it all the more real. Additionally, if time is spent discussing this exchange of power, everything will be lost. According to her he rule of women needs to be strong and without question. Their resumption of power will be like the coming of a sacred mystery that is more poignant because it was withheld from fame for so long. These stories, those only whispered and never widely spoken of, are more powerful when they are realized. In attempting to regain power over the world, women need to do whatever they have to. They should, at all costs, make treacherous man they subject, and in no way a friend. A woman should do everything in her power. She should try all that wit to get man to bend the stubborn knee. Mankind must fall under the command of womankind. There can be no in between. He should be commended and can never be free. In one's quest to gain power, one should use different tactics with different types of people. One should restrain the rude and soften the sullen. The new female rulers will need to know how to awe the licentious and understand who to give favors to and who to shun. Most of all, she should not allow people to over her because of gifts or favors done for her. This is supremely dangerous. In the second to last stanza of The Rights of Women, the speaker is reminding her listeners that just because one has gained power, that does not mean it will stay that way. Women have been for all of the time the courted idols of mankind. Nothing more. Their new eminence will not maintain itself, and as time progresses, one's power may wane. A woman may find that her coldness is getting softer and her pride, that her here, is decreasing. This is a sign that her rule is ending. This is clearly something to be avoided. In the final stanza of The Rights of Women, the speaker finishes her warning to the now powerful women of the world. She wants them to know that if they allow their power to wane, their once all consuming thoughts of ambition will fail. Their conquests and their rule will be feeble. In the last lines she makes clear that although nature might want peace between the sexes, this will never be the case, as the rights of one party are lost when joined with the other. Unions between men and women weaken a woman's position, especially if she has struggled and succeed at gaining power. Works cited. Poem analysis website.